Hey, it's Sean Litvak here with Litvak Leadership Live, and I've got my special friend today with me from Smile Project Louisville, Michael Ray. How you doing, Michael?
Hey guys, good afternoon. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you, and I am blessed that you asked me to spend some live time with you, brother.
Yeah, so Michael was just telling me we spent like the last 10 minutes getting to know each other because we really didn't know each other at all. We connected on LinkedIn and connected on Facebook. But Michael said that you said you've done like 200 podcasts.
You know what? I mean, it's just a good round number to go with. I have been, blessed to be on a lot of people's, content. And yes, the number is probably, as I look back in the last year, probably pretty close to that. And again, all over as we talk, thinking this might be the first one and you're in my neck of the woods. And I have been on, yesterday morning was Dublin, Ireland. A couple of weeks ago, we had to figure out the time difference of 14 hours because I was on in Australia, on one. So it's amazing how it's resonated globally
So
here from Louisville.
so for everyone who doesn't know, Michael started an organization. You know what? You tell your story because I try and tell it, and really I don't know the genesis of it. So what was the exact catalyst, and how did it come to be?
So there were two things truly that intersected. And the first thing was the foundation where I really evolved as a father and man in having a 21-year-old daughter with Down syndrome. Now, that's a little unique, but what makes her even more unique is that she's nonverbal.
Okay.
So when you don't speak, and I always try to tell people when you're a parent, we take for granted those three simple words we hear from our kids, and
Hmm.
that is I love you, mommy, or I love you, daddy. So when you don't hear that, she has spoken to me through her nonverbal language, and that is the simplicity of a smile.
Okay.
She's always smiling. So when we interact, and I jokingly teasing her, I'm like, I know you love daddy tons. It's that smile. And for me, as I went through the hardships and challenges of life, the one constant that I always had was Maddie smiling with me. So then it took where that, as it touched my heart for years, intersecting with a drive-through. And there
Okay.
was a drive-through at Wendy's one morning in which you could rewind 2.5 years ago, envision yourself in your office. You're having an awful morning. That's all weighing on you as you leave. I'm heading to Wendy's to get 2 large chilies. I roll through the drive through, never thinking that the interaction from a complete stranger made me laugh and smile.
Okay.
And then I would take that a step further, Sean, and tell you that I had to process it. I pulled over and I parked and I started to cry because I had a moment in which the weight of everything in life was hitting me. And I'm like, God, as I'm sobbing, what in the hell are you trying to tell me?
Okay.
So I laugh about it now, because what is kind of taboo is that you don't get out of your car and walk back up to the drive-through window.
Yeah, you don't do that.
But you don't. But I did. I did because I felt like in the moment I needed to thank her. So I got out of the car, walked back up, and if you ever do that, of course, the initial reaction of a drive-through worker is, "Sir, what's wrong?"
Yeah.
And that's what the beauty of that interaction was. I said, "You know what? Nothing is wrong. I just want to thank you for what you just did for me." Because in that simple moment, I laughed and it meant a lot to me. And I asked her her name and she said, "I'm Sean Trell." And I don't know why, Sean, in the moment I said, "I don't know why I want to do this, but I want to take my picture with you." And she's like, "What the hell? I'm working Wendy's." But we did. We took
Okay.
a picture together. And again, it's nothing where it is now. And what a lot of people don't even know, that's really was the foundation of what I was doing, is that I never knew the when, the where, the how, the why. I just started taking random pictures with
Okay.
strangers all over the city of Louisville. But what I found in those brief moments with strangers is that I found self love in myself. I felt so fulfilled. And I was also asking them, tell me something amazing about you. So they were sharing something, and after I had done this for, I guess, the better part of about 6 weeks, I then started assessing, like, what am I doing here? And I'm like, God, it's like I'm doing some kind of smile project,
Yeah.
So I then, well, what's the name? And I'm like, well, I live in Louisville. I'm doing this smile project. It's changing me. It feels like it's changing people because now I'm sharing it on social media, and people started reacting to the strangers I was taking pictures with.
Okay.
So after about 6 weeks, the name existed, and I just kept doing that. I just kept doing that for well over a year, taking random pictures all over the place, posting them to social media, never knowing again the who, the where, all of it, until after about a year and a half, I'm like, I'm trying to change the world through a smile. If I'm really wanting to be the reason why somebody smiles, why am I not doing random acts of kindness to
So now,
make us?
were you still working in the mortgage industry at that point, or?
So I was not. So the reason and the things that were going through my head is I knew I was on the doorstep of losing my job.
Okay.
And I was working with one of my best friends that I had known for 20 years. I knew it wasn't working out. And I'm trying to process then as a 48-year-old man going, the hell am I going to do with the rest of my life?
Sure.
And I'm like, if this happens and I lose my job, I'm not going back into the mortgage industry. So back then, about 3 weeks later, I lost my job.
Okay.
So of course I'm processing all of that. And then I said, you know what? I'm starting to put these things together again, never thinking that it's going to amount to anything, but I'm doing all the work to create, the positive mindset that I had. And it seems like it's changing people in the moment. So I went and drove full time for Lyft and Uber,
Okay.
never thinking that I would have in a given week over 100 different strangers in my car. So think about that. I'm driving 50, 60 hours a week, for Lyft and Uber. I'm taking 20 rides a day. I'm taking 100, 120 rides a week, and I have all these strangers. And sometimes I'd have somebody in my car, they would share their life. And I'm like, that's the person today. I'd get out of the car. We would hug it out. I would tell them what I would do, what I was doing. And my elevator pitch was, man, I'm just trying to change attitudes and behaviors by smiling with strangers. And then they would tell me a little bit about them real quick. I would share it on social media, and I would say, look at the beauty of Sean, and Sean's amazing for so and so. And I saw this just radiating. So I'm grinding it out, driving, for the better, part of a year plus
Right.
until I'll never forget it. It was like I had an epiphany. I stepped out of bed one morning to go to the bathroom like every dude does, it seems like, when you wake up. I took
Yeah.
2 steps and I literally stopped. And I was like, a random act of kindness to make someone smile. Holy crap, how does that look? It was just like that. So then over the course of the next week,
Okay.
I talked it out through myself and with my loving girlfriend, Molly. And we just talked out, how would we do it? What would we do? Where would we go? So the very first one, I'll never forget it. We went to the Kroger's. For people who don't know, the Kroger's at 26th and Broadway in Louisville is deep in the west end of town. It's
Yeah.
in, as some people would say, the depressed part of the city. But what we decided on was that we were going to go where we could find someone who truly had need.
All
That if
right.
we went in and we didn't know who we were going to bless in the moment, well, look, hopefully God put somebody, we're not rolling in the east end of the city in the suburbs to where, look. So we did. So we walked in there, we walked the aisles of Kroger's. We saw what appeared to be 2 single women with kids. And then we had the dilemma of like, well, holy crap, we only have one gift card to give away. who deserves it more than other? And there was that moment. Oh God, all right, baby, speak to me right now. Who needs to have it? So in the moment we decided, we walked down the aisles, we did our thing. She had 2 small kids in the cart, and we videoed it. And dude, it was moving. It was moving. And we gave her a $50 gift card to Kroger's. She was overwhelmed with emotion. And then what we saw is a couple of weeks later, she privately messaged me and she said, "It took this much time to thank you, but it was as if an angel appeared that day.
Wow.
And it was you. We were living house to house, sometimes never knowing how we were going to eat. And you were there that day." And it was like, okay, we're on to something. So then where do we go the next time? So I said, okay, the same situation. Let's go actually down to 9th and Broadway where the women go in for social services to get aid for their kids. Because again, we're like, we're going to find somebody that needs something.
Absolutely.
So we did. So we went down there and we practically got kicked out of the place because as we walked in, I was filming and the security guard threw it. And I was like, no. I'm just trying to spread some love here, baby. I'm not trying to. But we then brought that person outside that we saw, and she came outside. We did it again. And when we did it in the moment, we felt that love and emotion that kind of came together. We shared it. It was the same thing. So we did this another 4 or 5 times. And as we shared it to social media, and again, not LinkedIn,
Right.
this is all locally on Facebook, I started to see how it was resonating with people. And then people started to reach out going, how do you find these people? Where are you going? What if I gave you the name of somebody that was struggling in life? And I was like, oh my God, a fascinating idea. You mean I can go here because they're battling cancer and they need someone to make them smile,
Right.
in the moment. And I was like, brilliant idea. So then I started putting it out there for people to start sharing, people who were going through adversity that we needed. And, the stories now are endless, whether someone's battling cancer or a brain aneurysm, or someone lost a loved one or lost a job, you know, or even good ones in which it wasn't as much adversity, but somebody, a teacher at a school who was doing a kindness campaign with their 6th grade kids, and they needed to be recognized for the work they were doing in the community, because all of a sudden now I had a platform that was resonating with people, so I could showcase the lives of work of what other people were doing, and then as the platform grew. And I feel like in some form or fashion, a lot of people who follow me are Christian and they're praying people, that I had people reach out to me that I couldn't go taking balloons because they didn't live in Louisville. But
Right.
you know what? Their mom was battling cancer, or their son was in a car accident and was in a coma. And they just needed for the world to think and pray for them. And I was like, okay, you know what? Now, yeah, that I have this platform. So the stories that I've intersected with people, it's always seems like the dots just get connected.
So through all this, what keeps you inspired and motivated to keep giving? Asks Kim Hubbs.
It's called love, man. It truly is called love. What is amazing, and some of the things that I've seen from my daughter, I tell people, you look at her and it's hard not to see imperfection on some level. And the reality of this, that's the outward sign of having Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
But I would challenge you, Sean, and tell you that she is so much more of a perfect human being than you and I, because she looks at life differently. So to answer your question specifically, it's unconditional love. I think that when you're born with the gift of Down syndrome, the analogy, I laugh about it because it's horrible, but if you're a dog owner, you always feel that unconditional love. And the beauty of my Maddie is that there's this unconditional love because she doesn't judge. She doesn't have preconceived notions. Um, she operates from a place of which she really doesn't know what stress and anxiety and fear is. She lives in what I think is almost a constant state of joy and happiness. And,
Wow.
and isn't that what we're trying to chase on some level? But yet we complicate it through what we feel like in life is material things, in which, COVID hits. It's fantastic for her because, life and happiness and joy is about the relationships and the people that you have in your life.
So they're around more.
So they're around more. So what I always see and feel, and I always go back to one singular quote that resonates with me more than the hundreds, if not thousands, of things that I've read in my lifetime. And that's what the late great Maya Angelou said, and that is, people will forget what you said, they will forget what you did, but they won't forget how you made them feel. And that
Mm.
feeling is a place of love. And one of the greatest reoccurring questions I get on all those podcasts I've been on is I go, do you remember what Sean Trell said to you at the Wendy's drive-thru that day? And I'm like, hell no. I'm like, but you know what? I remember to this day how she made me feel.
That's amazing.
I don't forget that emotion. So when I do what I do, whether it's on LinkedIn and it's the people who comment and how it resonates with them, or whether it's in person, it's that feeling of love that I get from my community. And I think as human beings, it's really just a fundamental thing we all crave. We all crave to be and feel loved.
So are you building an organization? Because surely, you've said this has grown beyond you. This is something that, you can't contain. You're being interviewed worldwide. Are we going to see Smile Project Indianapolis, Smile Project Ireland? Are you going to are you thinking about that?
Yeah, we most certainly are. And I would tell you, again, that's rewinding to right before COVID because it was resonating at least nationally. And then as I continued to do the work through COVID and built relationships with people through social media all over the world, there were all the private messages of, holy crap, when are you coming to Indy? Or when are you coming to Dallas? Or would you come here? Or would you come there? So then we started to take a look at it in the summertime going, you know what? We could. Let's think about this. So I went down to Nashville.
Okay.
Again, I had built a relationship with a gentleman down there by the name of Ashish. And we went down and did 4 random acts of kindness in Nashville. And then I built a relationship with somebody in Cincinnati. So we rolled up to Cincinnati. We did 2 up in Cincinnati. So as that got out, then I had people in Philly, New York City, over on the coast. But then all of a sudden, COVID took a turn
Sure.
here in late July. And it was like, holy crap. I know we're doing everything here. We think we're doing it safe. We're doing everything outside. But yes, to answer your question, it has resonated so far from here. I'm not really an organization. I only say that because I often laugh and say I'm really about 2 people, and that is me. And then I have about 2 halves. One is my loving girlfriend Molly. Okay, I
Okay.
always try to give her street credit, and the other one's my daughter. So that's really not an organization. But what I've created is this massive platform and movement that
Sure.
has brought so much meaning, emotion, and love to people. It's now trying to figure out, when I was in South Florida last week, when I'm meeting with someone that I'd connected with on LinkedIn by the name of April Sprints. Wow, she helps businesses and nonprofits scale.
Okay.
So it is just that. So, can we create these opportunities of ambassadors or whatever you want to call them in other cities? Because I've built such strong relationships with people now all over the world because of the platform of LinkedIn. The answer is yes. And a lot of it, I guess, is really just timing,
Sure. Absolutely.
in COVID.
So how do you, continue on with this in COVID? Is it all online now for the most part, or are you
Oh, hell
masking
no,
up?
no, no. So early on in COVID, of course, we panicked and going, holy crap, because I am, I love getting in people's space. And if you
Right.
go back and
I've
watch
seen that
any,
in the video.
if
I
you
have seen that.
if you see anything, especially before COVID, I mean, I got my arm around people, and then when they start to cry, I'm hugging it out, I'm kissing people, it's all of it. So of course, when COVID first hit, it's like we can't stop. We got to double down. What does that look like? So the very first one we did the first week of COVID is we went to Norton Brownsboro Hospital. We got 50 small balloons. We found out where the workers' cars were, and we literally tied balloons on 50 cars, and we left messages on each car.
Oh
And
wow.
we said we were Smile Project Global. So what was amazing about that is all of a sudden later that night, I started to get messages from some of the workers. And the reason being is because some people on the fourth floor took pictures, not knowing what I was doing, of me in the parking lot. And then when they got to their cars, they realized going, wow, something as simple as, a balloon and saying, thank you for what you're doing meant a lot after I left today. So here they had no idea, but yet they watched us do it. So the second one I did was somebody reached out to me, and of course it was COVID, had an 86-year-old grandmother. I was like,
Hmm.
oh my God, stay away from old people. How in the hell are we going to do this?
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? They had this expression. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. So I literally went to Home Depot. I bought a 10-foot extension pole. I
Right.
tied the balloons onto the end of the pole. So when I shot the video, I could tell the free world I wasn't getting within 10 feet of grandma here. So we did that. And then I did one for a priest who was celebrating his 77th birthday in 50 years of being a priest. So we went to make him smile. And when I did it, I knew that I was a hugger and he was a hugger. So I went to Home Depot again and I bought plastic drop cloth. So as I did the video, at the very end, I said, hey, could we hug it out if we did safely? He goes, well, how? And then I pulled up this drop cloth. I dropped it over me. He goes, bring it in. And we hugged it out. And then as things advanced at that point, we realized we're going to be safe because we're not going to do any inside. We're going to do
Right.
everything outside. So if we
Absolutely.
do it outside, then people can feel comfortable and responsible about being a safe distance and showing us their smile to the world.
So when did you realize that this was something scalable nationally or internationally?
You know, I had a conversation locally again in January. What happened was somebody who had been watching me on LinkedIn, I really started my LinkedIn journey about October of 2019. He'd been watching me for about 3 months. I get a text message going, love what you do. Would you meet me for drinks? And I'm like, well, who are you? So I said, you know what? Fine. Yeah, I'll meet you for drinks. So I met him for drinks. His name was Bill Gray. And during that conversation, he was the first person that said, and again, as I said to you, are you ready to lose your name, Smile Project Louisville? Because this is just resonating everywhere. And I think then, I don't know, I may have had 3,000 or 4,000 followers, on LinkedIn, where I have 30,000 now. So it was in my head then going, okay, we started to see it. I started to pay more attention to it. When I was on with Terry Miners, I think it really hit me, again. And then where I really, really knew it was this summer when people from around the country were going, come here, let's figure out how we can do it to where we can cover your expenses and you can come to our city and do it here. So it was those stepping stones, even, through 2020 in COVID, that I knew that this thing's bigger than me.
Oh yeah.
No.
So if people want, I've looked at your website and I see where people can get T-shirts and all kinds of merchandise. Is that how you're supported, or is there other ways to support your mission?
No, so I'm primarily supported off of, look, on in some form or fashion, it's a giant pay it forward movement.
Okay.
And that's really so I self-funded it early on. And then all of a sudden, as we got into late fall, people would be like, well, what if I sent you the $50 gift card? I'm going, okay, cool. Then I don't have to keep doing it. So it started in that direction. And then it went into, during COVID, where well, hell, because again, as it opened up, it wasn't just the people in Louisville that were paying it forward. It was all of a sudden now where it was really resonating. And for me, I can't take credit for this, so I'll give it to her. So the executive director of Down Syndrome of Louisville, I met with her a few months ago,
Okay.
and she shared something with me is exactly what I'm doing. And that is I'm serving locally, but I'm sharing globally.
Oh,
So even though somebody from Utah sends me $50 to help sustain what I'm doing, well, they enjoy and feel good off of what I'm doing. So therefore, then it resonates obviously, globally. And I did a side project for a month back in mid-September to late October where I did a 30-day kindness challenge.
huh.
And it was
Okay.
very interactive, almost like I was coaching, and people got this message of what really smiling and kindness and being grateful in life and really understanding that to be grateful, it's not grateful for the large wins. I can be grateful because all of a sudden it's 65 degrees and sunny today. So for me, I feel that I won because of the weather. And I did that for 30 days. And I tell you what, man, I had 77 people that
Hmm.
were involved in it. And the testimonials that I heard from people afterwards. I mean, look, we all hear the stories of the create new habits. It takes anywhere from 3 weeks to a month to do it. And the work
Right.
that people that did within that challenge intentionally every day got to the point going, they started to see what I felt. And some of them shared some of the random acts of kindness and things that they did in being in that moment and how they felt the love, from total strangers. So those things help go give things away. And I'm getting ready to, I shared with you before we started, a Santa an initiative here locally where we wanted to
Right.
do it in person. It didn't make sense to do it. So we're going to do some live virtual stuff the weekend of December 5th. And it's going to go benefit specifically the people in the restaurant and bar industry locally
Here, here.
that have kids, man. Sorry, but right now saving Santa is
Yeah.
very, very important for those people who are not working to be able to buy gifts for those children. So again, it's off the beauty and love and people's generosity of opening their hearts in regardless of where they are in the world. Because I've had people from India give me money. So
Wow. Okay. Well, that is phenomenal. So you're pivoting a little bit for the holidays, but it's still part of the whole thing. So shockingly, we've gone 29 minutes already. It goes so fast. So as we're in the final couple minutes here, let me tell everyone first of all that if you want to find out more about Michael and his organization, go to smileprojectlouisville.com. Super easy website to find, easy to navigate. But Michael, as people reflect on our conversation today, what do you want them to take away with them?
I will tell you two pieces. So the first thing, and I think I shared it earlier, but where it hit me for the first time last fall, and a lot of times when I'm in the moment with people, I never know what I'm going to say. And I was with a 28-year-old third grade teacher who was battling stage 3 colon cancer. And I uttered the words, we smile and make others smile because life is hard. It's not easy. And for some, it's just harder. And
Mm-hmm.
I learned something a few months ago off of the company called Life is Good. So if you
Oh, I
know,
love that company.
okay, yeah. But you know what? I knew all about their t-shirts and their swag and everything, but I didn't know what their mission statement was. And when I heard their mission statement, it took me back to when I uttered that phrase for the first time in that classroom, because it's three simple phrases. Life is not perfect. Life is not easy. Life is good. So
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the challenges and circumstances and the hardships, things, people are enduring in their life, we have a choice. Life is still good. And you can smile through such adversity. So be the reason why someone smiles today, because you know what? Chantrell smiled to me at a drive-through. I would have never thought it would have changed my life. You may change someone's life through a smile.
Yeah, look at that. Awesome. Awesome. Michael, thank you so much for being on the show today. I know everyone who came in and watched was truly blessed by what you had to say, and those who end up coming back and watching the replay will enjoy it too. Again, if you want to help Michael and his mission, smileprojectlouisville.com. That's it for today for Litvak Leadership Live. I hope you have a great day. Be blessed.